Irfan, you turned 50 this year.
No, अभी होने वाला हूँ.
अभी होने वाला है.
होने
अच्छा.
वाला हूँ.
So it's right around the corner in January. The big...
And I don't understand why. What is the obsession of counting years?
Correct.
But कि बच्चन साहब 75 के हो गए. यार मैंने क्यों आप मुझे बता रहे हो 75 के हो गए?
But it's the milestone age, na? It's the big 50, half a century.
Okay.
Do you feel wiser today than you were, say, 5-10 years ago?
I think the age has nothing to do with wisdom. It's just what kind of life you're leading, and I think sometimes I meet kids who are much more wiser than me. It's just an exposure and your bent of mind. If you are, if you have that bent of mind, and then you definitely seek and you grow, and sometimes you have an tendency or attitude to grasp or to absorb things. If you have that, then age is not the factor. It's
Right.
But I'm fortunate that I chose this job.
Yeah.
Initially, I chose it for fame and money, but as I entered into drama school and understood the potential of it, and then the most important thing to become an actor was to explore yourself,
Right.
and to observe yourself, and to reflect on yourself and your surrounding and your society. That is something which I am really fortunate that I could do that through my job.
Do you have personal goals or professional goals that you've set for the next 10 years?
I used to have, and it never worked. My planning never ever worked. So it's for me it's more of a spontaneous reaction to things and go with the flow. And life has deliberately gave me signals that don't plan. And I will see to it that your plan is not materialized. And I learned that lesson very early in my age, and life constantly kept me nudging. Don't fix things. Don't fix things. And I'm thankful to that. That I was little aware that what life is nudging me. I could take that signal, and I cannot plan. If I have planned like for 2 months, I'll start feeling suffocated.
Okay.
So that's why I never have plans.
It's true, actually. Every time you made a plan and that kind of fell through something, but in your case, it's worked out well, no?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you gave up some American film and then Piku happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was Ridley Scott's film.
Yeah.
And same for Hindi medium as well, no?
Exactly.
You gave up something big there. So it's worked well for you.
It worked well for me, yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, Irfan, famously said that every director peaks at some point in his career, in his life. Every director has about 10 good years, and his own personal endeavor has been to kind of trying to stay relevant. Is that true of actors as well? Do you feel that actors also peak? They have a golden stretch as such?
Yeah, I think an actor has a lot to do with what kind of, how destiny is helping actor. As particularly in India, destiny plays a major role. When the time is right, his mind also starts working, his vocabulary also becomes good, everything works. And suddenly, when he's out, and the magic goes away, like it fades away in front of your eyes. You could see that charisma in that person, and suddenly that fades away. And where did it go? So yes, as far as creativity is concerned, yes, we cannot say generally that it happens. I have seen, like, if you take Clint Eastwood or Woody Allen.
Correct.
The way they are growing old.
True. In their 80s, they're still charged. Yeah.
Wow. I would love to grow old like that, where they're still exploring and they're still fresh. So it depends, sometimes Mahesh Bhatt used to tell me, that कि भाई साहब जंग लग जाता है. You have to bring the new blood, new thoughts in your stories. You cannot do it on your own all the time.
Do you worry about staying relevant? Is that something that, as an actor, is that something that you wrestle with?
I want to be relevant to myself. I want to engage. I feel, I should be able to entertain myself. If I get bored with myself, then nothing will work. My goal is just to. I should feel like when I'm sitting here, I should be able to enjoy this conversation. So that is my main concern, that I shouldn't be bored with my job, with myself.
Aamir Khan has said that the fear that keeps him awake at night is of the time that his creative instinct will go and he won't know it. That everyone else around him knows that the creative instinct is gone, but he doesn't know it. He said that he hopes that he will have stopped working before that happens.
Oh.
Is that something that makes sense to you as an actor?
Oh
Do you
yes,
feel,
oh
yeah?
yes, oh yes. And particularly Amir Khan, I think he's very sharp in his observation about himself. And I still remember there was a music release or some release of Maqbool, and he was called because he was doing Bobby Bedi's movie, and people were, just a crowd. There was so much of crowd, and there was something somebody said, and he said कि यार के वक्त जब होता है तब होता है, वक्त हमारे हाथ में नहीं है, जिसका आता है. So I could immediately sense that he has clarity about things,
Right.
and what he said is perfectly is right.
Do you as an actor feel that way as well? That do you worry about the
I think
creative
that's
instinct
a
going?
tragedy if that happens, that you don't realize that your creative instincts are
And we've seen that
gone.
happen with so
Oh,
many
yes,
people,
oh,
right?
yes, oh yes. And that is a helpless situation where you don't know why it's not working. I think that's the most frightful, and it's a scary thing.
Sure. Irfan, from the trailer of your new film, Kareeb Kareeb Single, it appears to be about two people who become drawn to each other during the course of a journey.
Right.
Just that aspect seems similar to Piku,
Right.
where your character, Deepika's character, got to know each other and the bond developed during the course of a road trip. What is it about travel that unpeels these layers? What accounts for romance on a journey, if you like?
See, it's said that if you want to really understand a person or know a person, see him in his crisis.
Right.
Or I feel that if you want to really know a person, go with him or her on a journey, and then you really know what's all about. Sometimes people could have a mask and you would not be able to know. But if you're traveling with somebody, there's so many things which comes out, and you see their real nature. After Pico or after Hindi medium, there was I used to hear, "Yeah, why don't you do a movie? We want to see you in this space."
Yeah.
A full-fledged movie, a romantic comedy. So fortunately, Tanuja brought me this script, and it was bright, happy, feel-good film.
Right.
And I took my time, and then Shutapa read it, and Shailaja read it.
Right.
And they had a different point of view on that, and they made me realize about certain elements of the script, which were not I was not noticing, and then I decided that I should do, and I asked Shutapa whether would you be part of it, and then they said, okay, let's let us produce it, and that has been a great journey. Her inputs, and like she sometimes. Most of the time, because she has a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So good, bad, whatever, it's directed towards me.
Right.
Now that the film is there, she's deflected. She's deflected. So she appears peaceful in front of me. When I used to call earlier, so there was a kind of a pent-up energy in the call. Now it's very peaceful.
It's being directed towards the film.
Yeah.
Why was it important to produce Irfan? Because like you said, it's like Madari, Kareeb Kareeb Single is produced in the family. It's produced by a wife, Sotapa. Why was it important to produce?
Yeah, because I wanted to show her that how I can love, and I'm a great lover, and I have an instinct which is not exploited, and it's a basic nature. I'm a romantic person, so this message I wanted to pass it to her.
Why was it important to become a producer for you?
Yeah, see, this thing was there with me when I did Pan Singh Tomar, and the way film was not released, and the kind of journey we had for 1.5 years, the helplessness and everything, That time I thought, if you are putting so much in a film, at least you should have some control over it. And filmmaking, it's not just about acting. It's your connection with that story. It's your association with that story, and to bring that to the audience, the post production and the publicity all becomes one. You cannot leave it to somebody whom you don't trust. That's why you need a producer. At least a producer whom you can trust.
Right.
And I think now that I would love to be part of stories in which I believe. I don't want to wait for stories, when they will come,
Right.
or I want to wait for the producers to really see the potential of a
Correct. You
of-
want to
of a
find your
particular
own
story.
material, right?
Yeah, I want to say that I have a confidence in this material.
Right.
I know this is going to people are going to connect to it. So you are not producing. Okay, I have that much of power. I can
Correct.
do that now.
Irfan, in Hindi medium, your co-star was the Pakistani actress Sabaa Qamar.
Yeah.
In the new film Kareeb Kareeb Single, it's the Malayalam actress Parvati Menon, whose first Hindi film this is.
Yes.
Of course, she's extremely popular
Yes.
in her market, but new to the a new face for the Hindi-speaking audience. What, in your opinion, do relatively unfamiliar faces bring to a project?
Sometimes some stories, when it becomes a plus point, if a girl or heroine, is not known face, because people connect to her with that role,
Yeah.
that character. So there's not a baggage of that image. Sometimes it works, in the favor of the movie. And what happens with my kind of stories, when I choose a story, most of the time the female character is very strong.
Yeah.
Like in this movie, when Parvati I met for the first time, I told her, you are the hero of the film, because the kind of role is written, it's beautiful, it's excellent role. So the female protagonist is very, very strong, and we cannot just have a good-looking, glamorous face. We need actor. So it takes time for me to really, have a right girl.
Right.
Sometimes it takes 7 months, 8 months. You keep waiting, you keep trying.
To find the right person.
Find the right person. Yeah. So this time I'm happy that we found Parvati. There are certain elements in the character which were not there.
Okay.
But just because she is from south, she carries a kind of tilt, lilt
Right.
in her accent. So we use that.
Nice.
And it has brought a color into
Sure.
the character.
You've said that you don't approach a love story as a romantic hero.
Yeah.
What is your approach then?
No, a romantic, not hero, like romance. You have a lot of romance in your, you have lived that.
Yeah.
You are full of that. So I don't draw references from cinema when I'm doing a movie. I draw, how do I feel when I'm romantic? I think this is the most beautiful feeling of of being a human being. I think that's the most beautiful feeling when you're in love.
Right.
I could physically feel a wave, going through all in my body throughout the day, throughout the night. It's a great feeling, and you want to share it with the audience if you get a romantic role.
Right. In this film, your character Yogi talks about falling in love thrice in his life, and both your characters, yours and Parvati's, reference past relationships. Do you revisit your past loves?
I did once, but I do have good memories about my past loves, and there's a kind of similarity between Yogi, the character I'm playing, and me, that the way he deals with past is similarly I deal with my past. I keep bright moments,
Right.
of past with me, and I filter all the kachra.
Right.
I've heard somewhere somebody said I put fairy lights on my past, and they brighten up my present. And that's a fantastic thing to deal with past. So I'm not guilty even when if I'm living my past. If I'm just thinking about my past.
Is it possible to stay friends with one's exes?
Oh yes. Why not? Sometimes two people are good friends,
Right.
and they realize that they're not lovers, or they cannot be husband-wife. They would be great friends. And if you are open to it, if you're open to self-assessment, and then you could find a balance where you could be friends, great friends. And I've seen people, after they have
Separated
broken
romantically.
off, they are much more they have much more respect for each
Compatible,
other.
right.
And they are much more bonding for each other
Right.
after that.
Irfan, you're amongst the very few Indian actors who successfully crossed over into Hollywood. How does the Harvey Weinstein scandal and the other scandals that have since emerged changed things in the movie business, you think? Or how will they change?
things? I don't know whether it's going to change anything. If the society. My concern is not about one individual.
Right.
It's nothing is going to happen if you pinpoint
Correct.
at one individual and put all the blame onto him or her. I think it's the structure of the society. When you have a separation, sex, making love, is the most precious, gift nature has given to you. Now, what happens? The society and everybody wants to control it, because that's where your key is. And when you suppress it, it's bound to leak. It's bound to become distorted, and people find ways. If you have a matriarchal society where women have more power, you will see that women are exploiting men, and generally it's a male-dominated society. The male, wherever they will find an excuse, they are bound
Exercise
to
their power.
exercise their power. Yeah.
That incident and that issue has kind of thrown open the debate on sexual exploitation in the movie business here too. Is the glamour industry as a whole much more exploitative towards women? Also, Irfan, you've struggled hard to break into the industry. There is this one very cynical but unfortunately very popular view that women themselves should be more careful about their circumstances. As someone who's seen the ruthless side of the film business, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. See, let me tell you, this is not the only industry where this kind of exploitation happens. And exploitation happens for sure. But there are people who use their sexuality to gain, power as well. That's also a fact. So both the aspects are true. But it's sad that somebody has to go through it and they cannot help themselves, or they feel helpless. That's a pathetic situation. But that's also true that male or female, they do use their sexuality to reach to some level. Yeah.
The fact that the lid has in some ways been blown now, do you feel that anything will change? Maybe here specifically?
I think the people who are frightened to speak up, or who don't have the courage to speak up, at least they will get some kind of strength. And I think speaking up is the thing. One should not just sit quiet and take that kind of atrocity onto oneself. One should be expressive about it and come out. And yeah.
You'll be working with Deepika Padukone once again in Hani Trehan's film, in which she plays, I think, a mafia queen?
No.
Okay.
I won't let you know, but definitely she's not playing
mafia queen. Okay.
Yeah. There is mafia involved, but she's not playing mafia queen.
Okay, okay. What is exciting about your equation today with her?
This name Deepika Padukone, it does something to me. I like her very much as a human being,
Right.
as an actor. I still remember when we did Piku, and I still remember, we never interacted that much before shooting, but we used to interact while shooting. And I used to see her spontaneous response, to my thing. And there was a kind of give and take which was so special, which suddenly made me alive as an actor. I think that's the most beautiful gift to an actor, if you get a live actor in front of you. And there is a kind of intelligence in her, the way she crafts her role. And Piku's character could have gone anywhere, it could have become a very little annoying character, because it was written that way, that she's hyper.
Right.
With the kind of grace she carried, that hyperness.
She could have become irritable.
Irritable. And I still remember the shot after her father's death. There's the kind of scene where she's just sitting quiet. Most beautiful, the way she didn't do anything. It's just the way she's sitting. So the way she carries her, I'm fortunate that I'll get another chance to work with her, and this time I'll request Vishal Saab to give me a song in my voice so that I can sing to her.
Now, Hindi medium was one of the very few films this year that broke the box office jinx.
And also the ratio of investment was,
to return, yes.
It's not, I'm not taking the credit
Yeah.
of it, but it happened.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that resonated with the audience where that film was concerned?
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
I have to say, very fine performance, lovely performance, charming performance.
I think what happened, there's sometimes uh, when the story is incredible, which seems to you that this is a concern that this movie might not work. Sometimes if you can pull it off, that same thing becomes a plus point of the movie.
Right.
When we were discussing the script, I always used to feel, yeah, this is an incredible story. People might say, यार, how is it possible? मतलब कभी गरीब बन जा रहे हो, कभी अमीर बन जा रहे हो, फिर गरीब बन जा रहे हो, मतलब ऐसा होता है क्या?
Correct. On paper, it could have seemed, yeah.
But we knew the potential, what the film is trying to say. So we worked towards certain elements which were not there in the beginning. Like for me, the second layer, first layer is school admissions.
Right.
That's the primary,
Yeah.
thing of this script. But second layer is husband-wife relationship.
Yeah.
So I said that has to be very strong.
yeah.
That there should be another story going on where husband has to win his wife, again. And some performances. And sometimes, when things are right, things fall in place. And you don't know what is the reason, Sometimes they fall in place. Like I insisted that Deepak has to be there.
Right.
I knew that, I need some actor where I could, have a kind of connection.
Clear with, right.
And Deepak has played a great role in making the film successful.
He's very good in it.
Yeah. And there are so many things, even the climax. We were struggling with the climax till the last moment. And, we kept discussing, we kept asking people to write, and then Vishal Sahab came in, and he said, yaar, iska climax to aisa hona chahiye. And then now, who will write that? So हम फिर struggle करते रहे, we wrote it, then I called Vishal Sahab, I said, आपने बोल तो दिया, now who's going to write it? Write it.
लिख लो
आप
आप ही।
अरे यार क्या करूं? मैंने लिख दीजिए ना क्या है? So he was so kind, he wrote that, 5-7 pages. And
It's interesting how many love stories are coming your way now as you inch towards 50. In your Bengali film, which is just out, No Bed of Roses, it's a
Yeah.
film that explores the relationship between a man and a much younger woman, his daughter's
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
How do you view love and relationships, Irfan? Can people be monogamous in this digital world of Tinder and...
You see, monogamous is a very personal kind of thing. It suits certain people. They're made up like that, and there are other people who need multiple partners, and that's how they're constructed. That's how they're I think what happens with man-woman relationship is a complicated thing. It takes time for you to really understand the beauty of it and the potential of it. Because we were coming from a small town and although we were had co-education with girls, but there was not a friendly atmosphere. It was always the girl was a mystery.
Right.
She was an enigma. It was so. बहुत सारे साल तो it just went into just the pent up energy. You couldn't see any other thing. It was you were possessive. There were so many things. But then it settles down, and then you start understanding it's a game which two people play,
Right.
and they should be equally interested in it, and then you really understand what romance and what physicality between two people is capable of.
Are you enjoying exploring these unusual kind of relationships in the movies?
Oh yes, very much. And I don't
Because
have any.
none of them are typical.
And I don't have any judgment about it.
Yeah.
And I hate to judge, what's happening between two people. Even those two people don't know what's happening between them.
Right.
If you hear from them, they will give a different version.
Right.
So who's the third person who's going to judge that what's going on between two people?
You've said in the past that working just for money can be boring.
Oh yes.
What then are your incentives to get out of bed every morning and do this job?
I think it's the most pathetic for me. The pathetic life if every day I'm getting up from the bed and thinking that I'll earn this much of money today
Right.
or tomorrow or in my life. Money, fame, both, they have to be byproduct. You cannot directly
It can't be the driving
attack
force.
on money and you go for money. I think it's very boring. And I tried it in my, when I was young. I tried to do. I was not interested in studies, so I tried to do some whatever. I got bored. So I was so bored. So I need to do something which interests me, and the money and fame, whatever, it should be byproduct.
Right.
And that's how it works. It doesn't give me any kind of satisfaction if somebody says, "Ki you will have this much of money." What will I do with that? What is, money should serve you.
Right.
I shouldn't work for money. Money is there for my, I should be able to use it. It should serve me, not I'm going to serve money.
Let me ask you this: how often does the great roles and the great films come with the great money?
Very, it's a difficult combination.
Right.
Combination. If the role is good, money is not there. But I know I'm going to reach there,
Yeah.
where I can, I'll do a great role and I'll have, decent money as well.
Yeah. All the best.
Oh,
Looking
thank
forward
you
to
so
watching the
much.
new film. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.